SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, lock in for this one. There is a massive decision at the very top of the organization that could change everything. There is quiet movement behind the scenes to stabilize the house. There is a young piece of the offense hearing messages on national television, some fair, some sideways. There is a locker room split between patience and urgency. And at the end of it all, there is a veteran possibility that shakes everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Stay with me. But before we dive in, real quick here, subscribe to the channel. It is completely free, and it helps strengthen this space built in purple and gold. And drop your opinion down below, because this conversation hits harder when the whole fan base is part of it. There are front office decisions that sound boring on the surface but end up deciding whether you compete at the top or spiral into drama. This time, it is a big one. The general manager position became the epicenter of the quake after the departure of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. This is not just swapping a name on the door. It is about choosing who sets the direction of the roster alongside Kevin O'Connell, and the recent history does not help anyone sleep at night. Rick Spielman left under tense circumstances with Mike Zimmer, and people say the two were barely speaking by the end. Now here comes another change. Tom Pelissero said there was no massive blow-up, but when rumors start flying everywhere, something clearly cracked, and fans feel that immediately. Mark Wilf has already sent a clear message that he wants real collaboration. That is where the concern creeps in, because we have seen how that can turn into a tug of war. If this hire goes wrong, the team could slide into a chain of bad decisions, and at that point, no amount of purple and gold can save you. Right now, Rob Brzezinski looks like a strong option. People around the league, including agent Blake Baratz, have backed him. That respect makes sense. Brzezinski has been with the team since 1999 and knows the salary cap as well as anyone. But there is a catch. Diana Rossini reported that the profile the team might want is more old school, a true scouting lifer, and Brzezinski is not viewed as that boots-on-the-ground evaluator watching talent every Saturday. That opens an uncomfortable conversation. If the new general manager does not carry real football authority, everything lands on O'Connell's shoulders. It becomes, this was the coach's call. If it works, great. If it fails, who takes the hit? There is a real risk of O'Connell gaining too much power. A coach with full control can be a dream or a nightmare. There are success stories, and there are cautionary tales that burn fast. The fear is simple: becoming the Browns, becoming the Jets. And that is not exaggeration. When the structure wobbles, the locker room feels it. The roster feels it. Fans feel it every Sunday. We have already watched promising seasons leak away because of power struggles. Nobody wants that again. What I want as a longtime fan in the stands is clarity. A general manager who knows how to build a roster, a head coach who remains the brain on the field, one not swallowing the other. You only get this kind of Vikings football perspective right here. Tell me in the comments, do you trust Brzezinski as the full-time general manager, or do you want an outside name? And hold tight, because the next story shows the team already making moves behind the scenes to avoid losing control of this stretch. Another move that flew under the radar but matters in a big way happened this week. This is not a player signing, it is not a trade. This is pure behind-the-scenes work. The Vikings brought in salary cap expert Matt Thomas as a consultant for a few months to help navigate the post-Kwesi Adofo-Mensah period. The report came from Tom Pelissero along with Ian Rappaport. The idea is simple. Thomas steps in to support and free up Rob Brzezinski. Right now, Brzezinski is running football operations in interim mode through the April draft. And let's be honest, nobody can juggle that many responsibilities without dropping something. Matt Thomas has nearly 3 decades of NFL experience with stops at the Seahawks, Browns, and Dolphins. He spent 11 years in Seattle as vice president of football operations and retired after the 2024 season, only to return for this short sprint. That says a lot about the respect he commands when it comes to cap management. And why does this matter to us, Purple Faithful? Because this stretch determines the 2026 roster. First comes cleaning up and creating cap space. Then come extensions for key players. Then free agency hits in March and everything accelerates. And all of it happens with the draft looming, staring you down, daring you not to mess it up. I actually laughed reading that because it is peak NFL chaos. Rappaport himself said Brzezinski needs to focus on the bigger picture. That makes sense. Without a full-time general manager in place, the team has to plan cuts, restructures, potential trades, and contract extensions, while also building a needs list at center, running back, safety, corner, and beyond. These are the details that decide tight games in December, and then there is the position that fans feel in their gut: quarterback. The reporting makes it clear the priority is bringing in someone who is either a real upgrade or legitimate competition for J.J. McCarthy. That comes down to money. Veterans cost space. Moving up in the draft costs assets and planning. Everything ties back to the cap. There is also the human side inside the building. Matt Thomas will work closely with Emily Battis, who already handles major parts of football administration. This is not a savior walking in. This is adding support. And I like that. Good organizations are not afraid to ask for help. And honestly, that beats standing still and watching the clock. Let me say this like the old guy at the bar. When a team moves this quickly, it knows the offseason is heating up and that the chair at the top is still wobbling. If Brzezinski becomes the general manager after the draft, maybe Thomas sticks around longer. If a more traditional general manager comes in, Thomas likely steps away, and that is fine. What matters is not freezing the plan. And soon enough, the conversation shifts fully to offense and quarterback because a major voice has weighed in on J.J. McCarthy. The next part is going to spark debate. This topic never leaves the table for fans. The day can change, the mood can change, but it always comes back. When the offense stalls, everything feels heavy, and this time, someone who understands NFL pressure better than most stepped into the conversation. That person is Tony Dungy, former head coach, Super Bowl champion, and former Vikings defensive coordinator. During Super Bowl week, he spoke with Tatum Everett and delivered a message that split opinions. In his view, real quarterbacks do not grow because someone is breathing down their neck in the quarterback room. They grow because they want to be better than the rest of the league. He pointed to Peyton Manning as the example. The competition was external. It always was. That puts the spotlight squarely on J.J. McCarthy. Dungy backed Kevin O'Connell as a coach who knows quarterbacks and said he will get J.J. on track. At the same time, he did not rule out bringing in a veteran, not as a rival, but as a mentor. A seasoned presence to share the room, push details, and teach the game. That distinction matters, because the fan base in purple and gold is far from unified. Some want total patience, development, year 2 growth, mistakes included. Others are already exhausted and want someone new pushing the button now. Both sides make sense. This roster does not feel like a distant rebuild. It feels ready, just waiting for stability at quarterback. Then there is the weight of Justin Jefferson. He spoke in multiple places, including Mad Dog Sports Radio and First Things First. And this was not empty talk. He said he depends on a lot of people for the ball to get to him. He said without an elite quarterback all season, it is hard to stay in certain conversations. He later reinforced that he sees himself as the best in the league. That confidence is real, but the subtext is clear. The passing game was not where it needed to be. At the same time, Jefferson stayed professional. He said that until something changes, his job is to help JJ train together, build chemistry, and grow as a duo. That is leadership. That is a star-owning responsibility. But it does not erase the frustration. You can feel it, and the numbers do not help J.J. McCarthy's case. A low passer rating, more interceptions than touchdowns, only 10 games played, an injury in the middle of it, and an offense that stalled in big moments. All of that feeds rumors, debate, and pressure on O'Connell. Let me be very clear here. This is the most delicate point of the offseason. Bring in the wrong veteran and you shatter confidence. Bring in no one and you double down on development. There is no comfortable middle ground. Any choice will make noise and the locker room will feel it. Dungy hit on something real. Quarterbacks grow with structure, a plan, and the right kind of accountability, not chaos. But that only works if the plan is crystal clear for everyone, for JJ, for Jefferson, and for the rest of the roster. Tell me what you think, mentor or real competition? That answer leads straight into the next story, because Jefferson spoke again and the tone shifted. Sometimes a comment is not a direct shot, but it still stings just as much. And that is exactly what happened again. The season ended, the calendar flipped, but the topic keeps knocking. Quarterback. And once more, Justin Jefferson added fuel to the fire. The starting point is still J.J. McCarthy. His first year as the starter was turbulent, with injuries, broken rhythm, and an offense that struggled to respond when it had to. The raw numbers are harsh, limited production, too many interceptions, and games where the ball simply did not get there. That affects everyone, especially the team's top target. Jefferson went back on First Things First and repeated a line he has used before. He said he depends on a lot of people to get the ball, and without an elite quarterback for the entire season, it is hard to compete in certain discussions. He did not name JJ there, but everyone understood. When a star of that magnitude speaks, the echo is loud. The issue is not one quote. It is the accumulation, multiple interviews, different moments, the same emotional core. Frustration, not from lack of effort, but from a sense of missed opportunity. The offense felt like it had more to give and did not. That weighs on a locker room. Then came an important counterpoint. Aaron Jones Sr. stepped in to cool things down. He spoke on NFL Network and offered a locker room perspective. He said young teams have to learn how to win and that it is a process. He said the group stayed together through the struggles and laid a foundation, even finishing one game short of the playoffs. He was direct, saying that if the Chicago game had gone the other way, the story would look very different. That kind of voice matters. It shows not everyone inside the building sees JJ as a lost cause. There is belief in growth and development, and that belief keeps a locker room from splitting. But support is not unanimous. Jones also commented later on Sam Darnold's departure, saying that when a group believes in a quarterback and the player wants to stay, it is worth trying to make it work. He acknowledged players do not make those decisions. That is front office territory, but the message landed. Maybe a call was missed. Let me be honest with you. This public back and forth helps no one. Not JJ, not Jefferson, and not O'Connell, who already has enough pressure. The locker room needs alignment fast. When stars speak, everyone listens. And when they listen too much, questions start forming. The team feels like it is at a sensitive crossroads. Either it fully commits to developing the quarterback, or it opens the door to change. Sitting in between only stretches the discomfort. Hold on to that thought, because the next conversation involves one of the biggest names in the league, and the impact goes far beyond the building. The conversation was already hot, and then someone poured gasoline on it. And not just anyone. A respected veteran with real locker room credibility spoke plainly about a scenario many whisper about but few confront head-on. That voice was Aaron Jones Sr. During an appearance on Nightcap, he was asked where Aaron Rodgers might play if he decides to take on another NFL season. The answer was direct. He said he likes the idea of Rodgers in Minnesota. He talked about leadership, high standards, and the kind of accountability that separates players who study from those who just show up. From there, the noise exploded. This was not a random analyst. This was a player talking about another player and about his own team. When Jones describes Rodgers, he talks about the playbook, processing, and responsibility. He makes it clear that if you cannot keep up, you do not play. That hits hard in a young locker room, and even harder when the topic is quarterback. On the other side of it all is still J.J. McCarthy. The team invested heavily in him, handed him the keys, and bet on development. But the roster around him looks ready now with an aggressive defense, weapons on offense, and an open window. That leads to the painful question. Can you wait another year, or does urgency take over? Justin Jefferson was pulled into that fire as well. On Mad Dog Sports Radio, he said he did not know. He said he does not control who arrives or leaves, and that his focus is working with what he has. That means helping JJJ improve, building chemistry, and avoiding a repeat of last season. The answer was correct, but the discomfort was still there, hiding in the pauses. Analysts jumped in too. CBS Sports' Leisure Duzable supported the idea of bringing in Rodgers, calling the roster one of the best in the league and saying quarterback is the missing piece, making a one-year risk worth it. When that kind of talk gains traction, internal pressure rises. Let me say this plainly. This is the kind of crossroads that defines eras. Bring in a name that big and everything changes. The locker room, the media, expectations. Do not bring one in and you fully commit to JJ's growth. At that point, there are no excuses. It is development or fracture, and this decision does not exist in a vacuum. It connects to the general manager who has not been hired yet, to the authority Kevin O'Connell holds, and to the patience of fans who live and breathes Vikings football everywhere. This is heavy chess. This is not just about a veteran quarterback. It is about identity and the path this team chooses right now. And that leads directly into the final reflection, because everything today points to this moment. I will tell you this. Taken together, this paints a very clear picture of the Vikings right now. The general manager hire has to be precise, because one mistake at the top ripples through everything. Bringing in Matt Thomas shows the team wants control of the cap and does not want Brzezinski drowning alone. Add Tony Dungy calling for calm and structure around J.J. McCarthy. Add Justin Jefferson sending pointed messages while still trying to lift his quarterback. And finish it with Aaron Jones Sr. talking about Aaron Rodgers like a spark next to a powder keg. Here is my bold take. The 2026 season will decide whether Kevin O'Connell is simply good or truly great, because the quarterback path chosen now will define this era, and fans in purple and gold have already figured that out. Drop your take in the comments, because this space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. See you in the next video. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go!